anticipate the enlightening discourse ahead. Thanks for being part of this distinguished event. I'm honored to have Mr. Justin Makamo from Faculty of DMI St. John the Baptist University, Malawi. Currently, his position is Master of Social Work in Project Management, Monitoring, and Evaluation. Today, we benefit from their expertise on structuring participation in development practices. Engage actively using chat or Q&A. Grateful for your presence. Let's make this enriching experience. Let us extend a warm virtual welcome to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Justin Makamo. We eagerly anticipate your enlightening lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm round of virtual applause to welcome Mr. Justin Makamo to the stage. Good afternoon, Mr. Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah, the floor is now yours, sir. Sorry? Sorry, sir? Okay, for Mr. Justin Makamo, the floor is now yours, sir. You can start your presentation, sir.
Justin, you can start your presentation now. That's what she said. Justin, are you okay?
I think there's something wrong from the connection. I think is bad in just Mr. Justin area because he is not in this Zoom meeting, sir. Okay, we can wait, Mr. Justin, maybe for some minutes because due to from the bad connection.
Okay, let me check him around and check physically what is happening.
Oh yeah, he is back, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Are you ready, sir? Time is yours, sir.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. So my name is Justin Makamo, as already stated, and I'll be presenting on structuring participation in development practices. I hope and believe you're able to see my presentation.
Oh, it's clear, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so we begin by having a small introduction. So, there's a need to understand the essence of participation in development. And in understanding the concept of the meaningful and effective participation, will usually help you to implement different programs, different projects or activities, and as well as to advocate for the participation of different stakeholders. We have different types of participation, and I've just mentioned of fake participation or tokenism. So in this case, we're looking at the actual participation where everybody is involved into the process of planning or deciding, or in general, what we call decision-making as regards to activities, projects, or programs. Let's look at the definitions of participation. At the same time, look at the definition of participatory methods or participatory method or approaches. In the first place, participation is an action or state of taking part in something. So this is just something that is, to say, simple meaning or definition of participation. it's an action or a state of taking part in something, or it is also an approach that fosters consultation, active involvement of individuals or groups in projects, programs, or activities. So basically, we're saying people have to take part, or different stakeholders have to take part into activities of the project, or in the process of a project, in the process of a program or an activity. And whenever we're talking about participation, we also look at the participatory methods. How will people participate? Or how are you going to involve the different individuals in the planning process or in decision-making process? So a participatory method refers to an approach in assessment where individuals like project managers, policymakers, stakeholders, or the general public actively contribute to the process. Actively contribute to the process. So it involves different classes of methods. So these are just, classes of the methods, but the major methods are there. So we have such as dialogue methods, policy exercises, mutual learning methods, and in fact, each varying in participant profiles. Participation goes under the same time levels of involvement. All right, so we can go further to the background of participatory approaches. The background of participatory approaches. So briefly, we can use this diagram or this, to say it's in the form of a picture, but just use it to understand when we had or the beginning of these participatory approaches. So in the first place, we have the RRA. So the RRA in full is Rapid Rural Appraisal, which was started in 1980s by different universities and at the same time the United Nations. Then we have the Participatory Rural Appraisal, which is known as PRA, which started in 1990s by NGOs. Then the last one, in this case, we have Participatory Learning and Action, which is PLA. So the aims, for example, of RRA was to acquire information. So basically, it's meant to acquire new information of rural life and resources. Then the PRA is ownership through jointly defining priorities for plans and activities. So together with the people, you make plans. You also define the priorities of a particular community together with community members. And then the last one, which is PRA, is meant to create awareness, support a policy, at the same time, empowerment. So basically, these approaches individually, as in RRA, is used for assessment. So in the very beginning, if you are engaging into a project, there's an assessment or needs assessment. What does the community need? What are their priorities? What's the issue in the community? So assessment. Then the PRA is meant for planning. So you plan together with the different individuals, different stakeholders, that are put together to make sure that the plan goes in line with their needs. And the PRA for social learning, as it says, participatory learning and action. So it's all about empowerment. They have to learn from the process and take an action. So it's basically for them to learn at the same time to take an action on what I've learned. Okay, so This, the diagram has been further explained by showing the differences between these approaches. So the RRA, the purpose of the purpose is to extract information from local people, usually in a single event. So, for example, an NGO would come at a particular community, ask them questions through interviews and so forth, just for one day to understand the community. So the RRA teams use visual methods, and at the same time, semi-structured interviews to learn about local realities and the challenges. So basically, it's all about gaining information or gaining knowledge of a particular community, assessing. Then the PRA is an assessment and learning approach that focuses on empowering local people. That is to analyze their own living conditions, problems, and potentials. So it focuses on empowering local people to analyze their own living conditions, problems, and potentials. What are they lacking? Okay, what's the situation of the moment? What are the problems that you are meeting? So identifying different issues that are affecting their lives. At the same time, their capacity to work on such kind of issues or such kind of problems. Can they work on them? Do they have the ability to do so? If they have limited ability, that means there's a need to boost their ability through different stakeholders who can be maybe external stakeholders. So PRI workshops are usually facilitated by a team of trained persons and can take several days. So it's not only or say a single event as opposed to RRA. It's a process of some days, or a process that takes some time to be completed. So in this case, you talk of community mapping can be one of the activities that take place in the process of PRA, or in a participatory method, which is PRA. Then the PLA, the purpose is to support people within communities, basically to analyze their own situation. So they're given that mandate to analyze their own situation and ensure that any learning is translated into action. So in PRA, we've said we involve them in trying to identify or in trying to analyze their living conditions, issues that are affecting them, and also look at the potential, the capability, or the capacity of the community members or community stakeholders. So after this process, they have to learn and so forth. And in their learning, in the process, they should be able to take an action. Okay, fine, we have understood that we have these issues. We have understood that we have this type of capacity. We have resources. Communities can have water sources. They can have the human resource. Maybe what they can lack is maybe financial resource. So from whatever they've identified, whatever the analysis through the help of facilitators, they can be able to come together and take an action. And this helps in the sustainability of the project or programs or any kind of activities, because they have knowledge, they understand what it means. All right. Allow me to go to the competences for applying participatory methods. So it's not just anything that anyone can do. Not Jim and Jack that anyone can come in and then facilitate the process of participation. We must have different competences that we can use. So we're saying applying participatory methods requires very specific competencies. These competencies ensure that facilitators and participants can effectively engage, at the same time collaborate, and achieve meaningful outcomes. The competencies ensure that facilitators and participants can effectively engage, collaborate, and achieve meaningful outcomes. So let's look at these competencies. One, we have facilitation skills. Facilitation skills. So this is an ability to guide group discussions while remaining neutral. So no biases. So you have to facilitate, or you have to guide the group discussions, or you have to guide the activities of that particular time without taking sides. So you're in the middle, you have whatever groups, how many groups, you have just to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And also encouraging active participation from the community members, especially marginalized groups or any other groups that need also to participate. All right. Number two, cultural sensitivity and respect. So first of all, you have to understand and respect local values or traditions and even social norms. We understand as well that different communities have different values, have different social norms. So we have to understand them, and whatever we do should be in line with the such kind of values or norms of a particular community. So a facilitator should be able to navigate differences, okay? Differences in the community, at the same time trying to build a trust with the community. Adaptability and flexibility. So this is willingness to adjust to plans based on community needs and feedback. Willingness to adjust plans based on community needs and feedback. To be able to say, fine, this is how the plan was, but with the situation, we have to make sure that I think we take this direction because things are not working in the same way. The last one is capacity building. Capacity building. So an ability to help participants enhance their skills, knowledge, and ability to take an action. So they should not just participate without learning something from there. So they should have the necessary skills. They should have the necessary skills. They should have the knowledge, and they should also they should be able to also take an action on different issues. So this one falls into the PLA. All right, so quickly we can go to the stakeholders or stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis. In the participation process, we cannot run away from involving stakeholders. And we have internal stakeholders and then also external stakeholders. These have to be involved. And we know a stakeholder is anyone who is involved in a project or is in a program or an activity, or the beneficiaries or something like that. Those are stakeholders. So stakeholder analysis is a systematic process used in project management, development, and policy making to identify, understand, and assess various individuals, groups, or organizations. And as I've said, that can be, or that can affect, or can be affected by a project or an initiative. So it's a process whereby you say organizations or project managers identify, or it's a process of identifying different individuals or groups or organizations that can help a project materialize or beneficiaries. So in the process, you find that we begin by grouping these stakeholders according to their levels of participation, grouping these participants in the level, these people, groups, or stakeholders according to their level of participation. At the same time, influence in the project, and also determining how best to involve and communicate to each other, or communicate to these stakeholders or groups throughout. So we're saying these people or these stakeholders have to be put in groups according to the level of participation, levels of participation. At the same time, the interests and the influence that they have. Meaning we cannot just include anyone at any level. We understand we can participate in different levels: consultation, information, or being informed, and the total participation. So different levels, we must have different stakeholders. So that's what the statement says. Steps in stakeholder analysis. Steps in stakeholders or stakeholder analysis. In the first place, you have to identify individuals or identify the stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders? Who are people who are going to get involved in the process? So you identify them. So you consider both internal, at the same time, the external stakeholders. The external stakeholders, we can talk of the funders. So they can just fund you, but the stakeholders in that project, in that program, or in that activity. Then secondly, analyze stakeholder interest. So for each stakeholder or group, identify their specific needs. What do they want? Their concerns and expectation to the project. Thirdly, assess stakeholder influence and power. So we're talking about the influence levels. We know that in the community or in the group of stakeholders, we have different people with different influences or power. We have local leaders. Local leaders have their own influence in the community, and you cannot run away from the fact that they must be in the group of stakeholders, because a community cannot have a project that does not involve the community leaders. So influence can come from financial control, decision making, authority, political power, or public opinion. So if you're assessing stakeholders' influences and power, these are the parameters that you can use to assess such kind of stakeholders. Furthermore, prioritize stakeholders. So you have assessed them, their influence and their power. Now you have to prioritize. So you have to focus on the key stakeholders. So the key stakeholders will be based on the stakeholders map, or based on the stakeholder map. Prioritize stakeholders who are most critical to the success of the project. And these usually will be stakeholders with high power and high interest. They really want things to be done and have that influence. And you have also to understand how are you going to engage them. So each stakeholder or group develop a plan that specifies how you engage with them based on their interests and the influence. So some are stakeholders that need just to be informed. Some stakeholders are just meant to be informed. Some are there to be consulted, and some are there to be actively involved. And then the last one is monitor and monitor and reassess stakeholders. So because people change, people are dynamic. So you need to still monitor these stakeholders to make sure that their engagement is able to adapt to the strategies accordingly. Okay, so going further, importance of stakeholder participation. Why is it important? We usually fail to engage people because of different fears of maybe interruptive aspect of maybe other people. We usually think they will be an obstacle to decision making. There will be an obstacle in decision making. Therefore, they would always need to run away from involving different people so that their decision-making process to be easier. But by the end of the day, it's a problem whereby they will not make decisions that align with the needs of the community. So one of the value of stakeholder participation is to ensure inclusiveness and equity. Inclusiveness and equity. So involving diverse groups of different categories, it ensures inclusive and address needs of all stakeholders. So all people will be involved of different categories, women, boys, girls, and so forth. At the same time, it improves decision making. So stakeholders always have variable local knowledge, expertise. So in that case, decision making will be a thorough process because you engage, or say you provide a stake to the expertise or knowledge that you already have. Thirdly, it enhances trust and legitimacy. So engaging stakeholders builds trust between project leaders and communities because they know each step. They know the whole process from the beginning, assessment, planning, implementation. So we won't have issues because they're involved. They know what it means to be in the process. Right. So lastly, ensures exclusiveness and Lastly, we have an element of fostering ownership and sustainability. Whenever people are involved in decision-making processes, they are more likely to support and take ownership of the project. They know the struggle from the beginning to the end, and there will be no need to vandalize whatever project or vandalize any kind of program that is taking place in that particular community. And then it also reduces resistance. So participation helps to identify potential conflicts early and allows as well for constructive dialogue. So all the conflicts are resolved at the beginning of a project, at the beginning of a program, or an activity that is to take place. So we understand in the process of group formation, we have the first stage, which is forming, and then we go on. So all that is saved through these stages. And whenever you're implementing a project, you have people, or you have a mentality, and also to say you have no issues that will affect the implementation of a particular project, activity, or program. All right, so that's the end of presentation. Thank you very much, and I hope and believe that you have enjoyed the presentation. I don't know if you have questions.
Oh, maybe they're still writing, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Justin Makamo, for that enlightening and engaging presentation. We are now transitioning into the question and answer session, where we can further explore our distinguished guest speaker insight and knowledge. Thank you to the audience for your active engagement during this enlightening visiting lecture online with our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Justin Makamo. I hope you found the lecture informative and inspiring. It's time to open the floor for our question and answer session. This is your opportunity to interact directly with our guest speaker and delve deeper into the topic of structuring participation in development practices. If you have any question for the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. Anyone in this Zoom meeting have a question for Mr. Justin? Maybe we can wait 1 or 2 minutes, sir, because I think someone texted me, but it did not send on the chat room. Anyone have a question for Mr. Justin? I think someone text me, sir. Can I mention the question?
Yes.
The question is, how can participation be effectively structured to achieve desired development outcomes?
Sorry, can you ask again?
The question is, how can participation be effectively structured to achieve desired development outcomes?
All right, so thank you for the question. So in structuring participation development, basically, I've talked of the process of stakeholder analysis. So in the process of stakeholder analysis, that's where now we give it a standard where we structure the participation. So in that process of involving the people from the beginning of the process, identifying stakeholders, and this stakeholder, after identification of stakeholders, involving them even in assessment stage, will help you to have an effective participation. So involve the people from the very beginning or from the very start of the process, assessing. And in making sure that you assess together or you plan together, you prioritize the needs of the community. So the moment you prioritize them, obviously you will not have any issues as far as project implementation is concerned. So from the beginning, let them mention the issues that affect them. From there, plan with them and execute with them. You'll see you won't have issues, because even in sustainability, it won't be a problem, because they've worked hard for the project. They've suffered with you. So I would like to give an example of any project that can take place. Construction of a bridge can be a very small bridge in the community. If we have identified the resources, they have water, they have sand, they have bricks, and so forth. What we can bring, for example, as an NGO, is cement. So that process, even the constructors won't necessarily take the constructors from town and so forth. You take those who have knowledge in construction in the very community. So sustainability won't be a problem because I've suffered the process. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have one more question, sir, from the student. How can participatory approaches be incorporated into different stages of the project cycle, from planning to evaluation?
All right, so thank you very much. You're saying, how can participation be incorporated into project cycle? So in the project cycle, in the first place, we know we have the initiation. So in the initiation, of course, we understand that different people have also come up with the different project cycles. Some are 5 stages, some are 7 stages, and so forth. So in the initiation process, which is in this case assessment, RRA. So in the assessment, which is part of the initiation process, we involve the people, as I've mentioned, in identifying the needs of the community. Planning process or planning stage, that means you also put them together, community mapping, resource identification, and so forth. So these things will help you through all the stages. So whatever involvement that you can have with these stakeholders will be integrated in each stage. So if I talk of initiation, people are there. You have to make sure that they're there. Up to the very end, monitoring and evaluation. Because you have involved them, they will also be part of monitoring and evaluation. How have they done it? Thank you.
Okay, I think one more question, sir, from management class, from Rendra.
You're right.
How can development programs effectively structure participation among diverse community stakeholders to ensure inclusivity, equitable resource distribution, and sustainable outcomes?
So how can development programs effectively structure participation among diverse community stakeholders, ensure inclusivity, equity, social inclusion? All right. So development programs. Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right. So development programs, of course, it's almost the same answers that I'll give. Because in the first place, a development cannot take place in any community without the community members. So development programs must make sure that anything that happens must happen according to the values of the community and also the local expertise of the community. So whatever we are doing in the project management or in any activity, there must be that involvement of stakeholders at each level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Justin, for answering some question from participation. As we wrap up this enriching lecture, let's capture this moment with a group photo, sir. Miss Novita, would you help me for capturing this session?
Yes, please. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, another 1, 2, 3. Already listening.
Okay, thank you, Miss Novita. Thanks to all for your active participation. This snapshot will be lasting memory of this extraordinary visiting lecture. As we conclude this intellectually stimulating visiting lecture series, I thank each participant for their dynamic involvement, unwavering engagement, and palpable enthusiasm throughout this enlightening affair. My profound appreciation is directed towards our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Justin Makamo. Your erudition, deep insight, and generous knowledge sharing will have enriched our intellectual discourse. We stand genuinely privileged to have had you grace us with your expertise. Thanks are also owed to the participant who incisive queries and contribution during the question and answer segment have disputably distributed to this event time. Moreover, such success would have been attainable only with the unwavering efforts of our event organizer, sponsor, and technical support teams who work discreetly behind the scenes. Your dedication and hard-won effort have not gone unnoticed and are sincerely acknowledged. Concludingly, today virtual lecture series, I urge you to perpetuate the dialogue and networking initiated on this virtual platform. The knowledge and perspective claimed herein should serve as a springboard for continued exploration and collaborative endeavors. Please remain connected with us for coming events and opportunities. Your presence is invaluable, and we eagerly anticipate your participation in our future undertakings. Once again, profound thanks for your participation in this intellectually stimulating experience. I wish you an exceptional day ahead. Take good care. Farewell, and I anticipate our endeavors in subsequent scholarly pursuits. Good afternoon, everyone. Take care for your next visiting lecture. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Justin, for the presentation today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.